specifically, all right?
Well, what I was suggesting is that, I mean, I think an interesting thing to look at would be how corporate influence over the U.S. food system has shifted, has changed the way people in the U.S. eat over the course of the last century, and where our food comes from. Looking at, the shift from, I'm not going to write this now.
Damn it.
I can't write and talk at the same time. I can, but it's difficult. I've done it actually.
All right.
But how we've seen a shift from family farm agriculture to factory farms. How we've seen through subsidies and the manipulation of nutritional information and educational materials through the USDA by the meat and dairy industries, an increase in net consumption of animal products in the U.S. diet, and how it's affected. What the impacts that's had on the environment, the impacts that's had on human health, the impacts that's had on animal welfare, and
yada yada yada, end of the world.
Right. I mean, and I think it frames it in a way, in talking about, it frames it in terms of talking about, how corporate power has distorted the way we eat, rather than putting it in the mode of sort of,
straight up animal rights.
Well, not even so much straight up animal rights, but not so much but putting the focus on the corporations rather than on the personal lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, I think that's fair.
I agree, and we have to. I mean, I don't want to mention veganism. We'll just tell them what these corporations do. And another thing about mentioning veganism, why I want to leave it out completely, just telling people that, because we've marketed it as a cruelty-free lifestyle, which is anything but. It's the lesser of two evils.
So let's just market it as like that.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I think it's the sort of thing that, I certainly think it's something that can be part of the conversation. Like, it's a legitimate thing to want to opt out of supporting these industries altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, within the scope of Occupy Wall Street and what it seeks to achieve as a movement, and I mean, looking at, the Declaration, which is the one sort of consensus statement coming out of Occupy Wall Street, it frames animal issues in terms of how corporate power has exacerbated the suffering of animals. So I think framing the message in those terms, looking at what corporations have done to a lot of animals, and, talking in terms of what we can do to resist, the corporate exploitation of animals in this context of food animals will be a message that resonates, and it's not really inconsistent with, the message that, it's certainly a message that animal groups have, that, is not unprecedented in the animal movement. Certainly anti-corporate campaigns have been a big part of animal activism.
No, it's refreshing. It's needed.
Absolutely. But we need to frame it that way and not put blame on and also talk about vegetable farming and talk about all the animals killed from vegetable farming too. Talk about the pesticides, the chemicals, how migrant farm workers are treated. So tying in environment, animals, and